Hey guys, it's Joe with Truth Be Told by Everyday People. Today I'm here with Kevin Presutti. And Kevin, where'd you grow up?
Grew up in Hudson County in West New York, New Jersey.
Okay. How was it there? What year?
I was born in 1962. Grew up on 61st and Jackson Street, and it was typical at the time where the whole family lived on the same block.
Okay.
Grandparents, nephew, cousins living upstairs, grandparents downstairs, all the houses next to each other. Very tight-knit Italian, brought-up Italian neighborhood.
Okay. I guess it's kind of like we came out of Jersey City, Bayonne. That whole
Same
area
thing.
was the same. Yeah.
Exactly.
Who knows what was going on and when.
Well, you always knew if there was something going on in your family because you could hear people arguing.
Yeah.
So, windows were always open, and if you heard the windows slamming, that meant something was going down.
Or your mother's yelling out the window for you.
Right, exactly. And that's how we were called to dinner, out the window, just like the TV commercials.
Yeah. That's what my mother was. She's Sicilian. Yell out the window, where are you?
Yep.
They all do that.
Yep.
There, then, not now. I was saying to Nick, back then, remember playing stickball in the street. You don't see that, none of that anymore.
No, we played it seasonally, meaning when it was baseball season, we played stickball or wiffle ball. Right. And football time, we played football, and it was always in a lot, dirt lot, parking lot, behind the A&P, wherever we found space.
Yeah, we used to get in the street, so people weren't too happy.
No.
So from there, you went on to become a musician.
Yes, my parents, I was very fortunate. My parents gave me my first music lesson at 6 years of age. And I wanted to play. My father said to me, would you like to play an instrument? And I said, yeah, it would be really nice. He says, you could either play an instrument or you could play on Little League. But you can't do both. He says, I can't take you back and forth to both. My father worked very hard. He worked 2 jobs. Parents were working. So I said, well, what's the difference? And he said, well, if you take music lessons, that's something we can give you. And you could always play baseball out in the street with your friends like you do. And I said, well, that's great. So he said, what do you want to play? I said, well, I'd like to play a trombone. And he said, no. He said, my friend has a clarinet. You'll play that. So I got my first clarinet at 6 years of age, and put it together and played it for a week, not realizing I needed a reed for the mouthpiece. So I kept saying it's broke. So when I went for my first lesson, that was straightened out. And started playing, and I took a lesson, and I was a little young. I was reading music before I could read a book.
Oh, really?
And I walked in and with my mother and the music teacher, Lou Lucatelli at Rex Music in West New York. Everything was in town. He said, well, he's a little bit young, but we'll try him out. So he gave me my first lesson. I took the clarinet home, and I don't know how I did it, but I played the whole song Strangers in the Night by ear, not knowing what my fingers were touching on the keys. So I went back the next week for a lesson, and I said, I can play a song. And he just took a step back, and I played the song, and he just looked, and he had a tear in his eye.
Oh, well. And
he said to my mother, he's going to be a musician. So that was the start of it, and then I played all the way through, continued playing.
Okay, and job-wise, as you grow, did you stay with music, or did you go on to something else?
I never left the music, ever, and I wanted to be a musician, real bad. And my father said, it's fine, you can be a musician. He said, but you're going to go to college, and you're going to get a teaching degree, because you're not going to make any money playing music. He says, and you have to have a backup. Now what you have to understand was my whole family had very secure jobs. My father was a fire chief, deputy chief. My mother's brother was a fire deputy chief. We had a lot of police officers in the family, so they knew what it was to be secure.
Right.
So me wanting to be a musician really took them all by surprise. So my father insisted I go to college, and I went to college for music, and I got my teaching degree, but I never taught.
Oh, wow.
And so college graduation came about, and my father said, listen, when you graduate, I have a job for you. You're going to be the high school band director.
Oh, really?
And I was like shaking, because I did not want to teach. And it was 1985 at the time, and it was that week the phone rang. I was home and having dinner with my parents, and I picked up the phone, and it was an agent And he said, "You're Kevin?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "We have a tour going out, and it's with Frankie Avalon, Fabian, and Bobby Rydell." And I said, "Okay, when does it leave?" And I could hear my father just, drop the knife and fork on the plate. And I said, "Okay, I'll do it." So I got off the phone and I said to my mother, "Hi there." I said to my mother, who is Frankie Avalon? And who is Frankie Avalon and Fabian and Bobby Rydell? And my mother said, "Why?" And I said, "Because I'm going to go on tour with them." So my father said, "Yeah, all right, sure." He says, "I sit down and eat supper." But the tour did happen. And I went on tour, and we toured 90 cities this summer.
Let me stop you for one second.
Sure.
As you guys know, my dogs are here. They're normally with me. So as you've been watching this show, you hear them. Can you just take his one collar off?
So, the bells.
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
So the tour went out, and they took a group of very young musicians out, and we toured 90 cities this summer in a tour bus with Frankie Avalon, Fabian, Bobby Rydell. We toured huge venues. We were in Ontario Place, Canada, 10,000 people. We played all the shows, all the main arenas and theaters. And the tour went for several years. And I was back and forth working with those guys in Radio City. I worked, Chubby Checker, Lou Christie, just a few of them. Probably worked with maybe 75 different stars at this point. And the odd thing was, when I reached about 1989, I started realizing I needed more security.
Okay.
And I saw the things my parents had. They owned a home. They had a nice car. And I'm like, gee, I wonder how I can have this.
Well, let me just. You're touring all over the place with these guys, big name people.
Yep.
But you're not making.
I was making very good money.
Okay.
For that time. In that time, and doing touring. And we were young, and they realized we didn't demand the money that maybe more experienced players would need. But I was getting my experience. I mean, the best experience ever is to be doing something like that. So the tour slowed down a little bit. Maybe by 1989, 88, 89, the dates weren't as much. And I was working all other places. But I just felt like I wanted to be more secure. I needed benefits, hospitalization, and I wanted more money and more security to be able to have the things that my parents provided me with. So I talked to my father and said, I think I want to become a fireman at this point.
Okay.
And he said, well, and I know why he did this. He said, well, you're a little bit older than the rest of the guys that are taking this test. They're 18 years old, and you're not of that age. I was about 28.
Okay.
And he said, you're not in shape. You've been playing music and touring, and you don't know what this is all about. But I know why he did it. He did it to motivate me. So
it's like 28, you're over the hill already.
well, I mean, you're going against 18-year-old guys that want this real bad.
Right.
So I put my sneakers on and I did my best Forrest Gump. I ran every day. I ran, and I took the test, and I did come out number 3 on the list.
Okay.
And I was sworn into the West New York Fire Department in 1990, and I put in 25 years.
Okay.
Until my retirement, which was about 7 years ago.
Yeah. So on the retirement, you had a pretty good story. I guess not long before that, you had a scuffle with everybody in the streets.
Oh, we had a lot of fun. Firemen are a great group of guys. The brotherhood is nothing like it. It is the greatest career in the world, and it was the best thing I ever did was listen to my father. Yeah. It's a job that you just know you're helping people. And the firemen are rough and tumble. It's a rough and tumble group of guys, and we've had our share of, having fun. That's what we do. We're boys, and
gonna go mix it up a bit.
A bit.
Well, that's a lot of people don't understand that because that's what we used to do.
Well,
just for the heck of it.
The firemen, you're sitting in the kitchen in the firehouse for your 24-hour tour, and firemen get in arguments with each other because it's like you're living together in a room. And the beauty of the job is when the alarm came in, you didn't worry about you had an argument with so-and-so and he wasn't going to get you back. He had your back. We had each other's back, and whatever needed to be done was done. The trust that you put in your fellow worker was beyond what you could believe. And it was the greatest experience in my life to do that.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, you had just told me that you were asked to come to one of the schools for Martin Luther King Day.
Yes. What did I do on that? School. Just refresh me on that.
They had asked you, I think it had something to do with the OJs or the Temptations or something
Oh,
like
right.
that.
I just did went to a school system in Mount Olive.
Okay.
And my friend Mike Monia called me. He's a teacher there. And they wanted me to discuss all of the acts. They were doing Black History Month in music. And they wanted me to discuss all of the groups that I had the pleasure of working with, which were the Four Tops, the Temptations, all the artists. I mean, the Platters, the Coasters, and we actually showed them samples of the music, and I sent some videos in of me playing with the acts. So it was a good experience for the kids. They really enjoyed it.
And you still play with a lot of those guys, Roy Price and everybody?
Yes. Basically, yeah, and Lloyd Price just passed on.
Oh, he did? Oh,
very recently, actually. And also, there was another one, too. Oh, a bunch of them. I think it was Mary Wilson.
Okay.
Recently passed. Yeah, and the odd thing was when I retired 7 years ago from the fire department, my music, because I never let it go, just kicked into a business now.
Okay.
And I've had the fortune, and I'm very fortunate now to have a steady playing engagement with Gary U.S. Bonds.
Okay, and you have that coming up soon too, right?
Yes, well, we have a bunch of work. We just did, actually, we opened up the Jersey Shore for the summer, and that was a great concert we did with him. And we tour with him. He's a little older now. He's like 82, and he's still incredible voice. He has an incredible band. His music director, Mark Lembach, runs a great tight ship, and he has a great band. And it's great stuff working with him. It's just rock and roll tenor saxophone. Talking about right now who I'm working with. And the funny thing was, upon retirement from the fire department, when I was on the fire department, the way I was able to hold on to my music career was I used my vacation time and my mutual swaps that were permitted in the firehouse to continue playing my gigs and my shows. So when I did retire, I had wide open schedule now to do as many playing engagements as I want. And that enabled me to hook up with better acts. I mean, I'm forever grateful to Dick Fox Entertainment, who's given me huge opportunities to work with all these name acts, and also Pete Mastropolo from Coda Productions. And because of those two people, I've been given the opportunity, worked with Joe Piscopo.
Oh, really?
I got to meet all the Sopranos, people from the Sopranos through Gary U.S. Bonds, who I met through Pete Mastropolo. Saw all the guys from the Sopranos, and Steve Van Zandt. I had the pleasure of being in his studio rehearsing in the city. So, yeah, so my music career now it's full-time.
Now it's full-time?
Yeah.
Now, are you out on the cruise this year?
Yes, I've been doing for 10 years. Well, we missed 1 year with the COVID.
Right.
But they had, a year before that was the 10-year anniversary of the Malt Shop Memories Cruise.
Okay.
And on that cruise, they hire one band through Coda Productions, and that band backs all the acts that come on the ship. Now, we work for the artists, not the cruise ship. So we're treated very well on the ship. We get to bring our wives with us. And
cool.
It's a nice week out. They pay us for our services. And and it's an oldies cruise.
Okay.
And the people that attend this cruise, they pay the money they do so they get to mingle with the artists. On this cruise, they make the artists available so that the people can talk with them and get autographs and get pictures. And it's very strong cruise. It's been on 10 years now. This will be, I think, the 11th year. We're going out in October this year.
Oh, cool.
With a whole bunch of acts again.
All right. And your wife, Robin,
Mm-hmm.
she does backup singing for them, right?
Yes, my wife sings. She's had the pleasure of working with Lou Christie,
Okay.
and she sings backup with Lou Christie, and along with Mary Fox, and they call those two girls the Crayons.
The crayons.
Yeah, Lou calls them the Crayons, and Robin also sings professionally with other acts.
Okay.
We have our own group that we put together based on the needs of the client. We call it customized entertainment.
Yeah.
So we'll put a band together from 6 pieces to 20 pieces, depending on the type of engagement you have and the type of music you want to hear.
Okay. What's the name of your company if somebody
It's-
wanted to get in touch with you?
It's called Body and Soul Entertainment,
Okay.
and that's what we do, and we've been very fortunate. We're
Good.
very fortunate.
So everything's pretty much came back together since COVID then.
Yes, it's coming together slowly. But we do see light at the end of the tunnel now.
Good.
Getting calls for the arenas again because I believe you can have more seating now. And it's working out again. It was
And-
a long 15 months.
In between that, hunting.
Do some.
Yeah.
I love being outdoors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I do some bow hunting, and I enjoy bow hunting a lot. It's my release. Sit in a tree for 6 hours. I hunt with my buddy Chuck. Him and I go out in the woods. We spend the entire day, and just nice to be out.